Welcome back to Breakdown. Today is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. JJ,
Dad.
let's talk SEC Big Ten. The big name in SEC in Big Ten football, Jim Harbaugh. What happened with him?
Jim Harbaugh, the coach of the reigning national champion Michigan Wolverines, decided he wanted to fix one of his other teams that he played for in the past, and he's gonna go down to Los Angeles and bolt on over to the Chargers to be their head coach.
Will Michigan ever be the same again?
Will Michigan ever be the same again? You know, I think Michigan is gonna enter a new era. We still don't know for sure who the head coach is gonna be, but I think they're gonna enter an era where their head coach might have a little bit more melanin than ever before.
Are you surprised Mr. Harbaugh, Coach Harbaugh, is jumping ship? He's on top of the hill right now. He's going to get off. Are you surprised by that?
No, he's been at Michigan for as long as he's been at any place. He was there for almost a decade. He won a national championship. You know, at first he came in here with a boom with his satellite camps, and then he was humbled by Urban Meyer, and then he rose from the ashes like a phoenix and went off on top. I'm not surprised at all, especially considering all the shenanigans and the investigations that went on into this season. I can't see why he wouldn't want to.
The U of M did their best to keep him. They put a lot of money on the table. So was it about the money?
I don't think it was about the money. I think it was about the challenge. I think, he's beaten Ohio State 3 times in a row. He's won the Big Ten 3 times in a row. He's won the national championship for the first time since 1997. First undisputed championship since 1948. Like, it's been a while. So he's done everything that he needed to do at Michigan.
Okay, he didn't want to build a dynasty, create a dynasty.
No, I think he wanted to create a Harbaugh dynasty more so than a Michigan dynasty.
Okay. The odds are pretty high that he will be successful in the NFL as well, my guess.
Do you know who has the highest winning percentage of all NFL coaches, of active NFL coaches right now?
I do not.
James Harbaugh. He has the highest winning percentage over Bill
John?
Belichick. No, James Harbaugh. That's Jim. Jim Harbaugh. His first name is actually James.
Okay.
John, he has a higher winning percentage than his brother John. Yeah.
Okay.
And that includes the regular season and the playoffs.
Even though they signed yesterday, I wouldn't call. I know where you're coming from, but you and I are on different. We're in a different zone right now.
Hey, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie.
Okay.
This is the highest winning percentage.
We're in a different zone right now, but I understand where you're coming from. Okay, JJ, is Michigan gonna be left out in the cold with the loss with Coach Harbaugh?
Unfortunately for Michigan, they have a lot of sophomores, people who are not eligible to declare for the NFL draft. They are expected to lose double digits worth. Double-digit numbers of contributers. Their players, they're gonna have to replace a lot of guys, but they have a lot of guys on that defensive line that are true sophomores. They have Will Johnson, the 5-star cornerback. He's a true sophomore. He's coming back, and Donovan Edwards elected to come back because he had a mildly disappointing season. So, Michigan should be favored to, I would say no less than 4th in the Big Ten next year.
That's a big drop off for Michigan fans. Michigan fans ain't gonna like that.
Oh, I think Michigan fans are going to love it.
A drop off to 4th? From 1 to 4?
They're going to be basking in the afterglow of their championship for years to come, I think.
JJ.
Dad.
When Alabama lost their legendary coach, transfer portal blew up humongous.
It did.
Alabama lost a lot of players. While you said Michigan has a lot of sophomores, those people, they did not come there to play for Coach Harbaugh. They came there to play for Michigan, or will they be hit? Because when the coaches leave, the transfer portal opens up for another 30 days. The timing is really bad now because classes have started, so it makes no sense to actually transfer right now if you can't get into the school you want to transfer to, but you can just announce it. But do you anticipate Michigan losing a lot of these natural sophomores to the transfer portal?
I absolutely do not,
Okay.
because I expect them to name Sherrone Moore as their next coach. I think
Keeping it in-house.
keeping it in-house, a lot like how Notre Dame did with Marcus Freeman.
Okay.
After Brian Kelly left, they wanted to make sure that, a guy that a lot of their players have relationships with currently was going to remain there. A guy that they wanted to win for was going to remain there. I think they're going to do the same thing with Sherrone Moore.
Something that Alabama did not do. They did not keep it in-house.
They did not keep it in-house. They actually, one of the reasons the rumors that were for Dan Lanning at Oregon to be the next head coach was because he was an assistant at Georgia and he recruited the Southeast incredibly well. He still does at Oregon. He has a lot of relationships with a lot of their players. Kalen DeBoer is not known as he's a great winner everywhere he goes, but he's not known as a great recruiter, and he didn't have a lot of established relationships with the Ryan Williams of the world.
He did not keep very many of Nick Saban's coaches either. He brought a lot of his own coaches to Alabama with him.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm thinking he kept 2, but I may be wrong. But I know he didn't keep many already.
And that's a concern for the University of Michigan as well, as there's a lot of rumors that there's a lot of scuttlebutt that Jim Harbaugh is going to want to retain a lot of his coaches as
take them with him.
Retain them on his staff as he transitions to a new job.
Okay.
He wants to take them with him, and everyone. I've heard a lot of people suggest that the Michigan's defensive coordinator would relish the opportunity to jump at the NFL. So, it's very possible that Sherrone Moore is going to have to, he's going to lose some of his staff.
So what's the likelihood that it will be Sherrone Moore, in your mind?
I think it's pretty likely. There's been multiple reports saying that unless something catastrophic were to happen, Michigan is zeroing in on Sherrone Moore. They're vetting Sherrone Moore. They're doing the necessary things. I think there's like a certain time period for like a job posting that within the state of Michigan, like there's a certain time period they're trying to get a waiver for that, and doing all the things that it takes to make everything all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed.
Let me ask you a question, JJ.
Yeah.
From a coaching perspective, which is better, NFL or Power 5 college?
Well, I think if you're a Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, one of those type of guys, I think college is clearly better. I think depending on, if you're not a natural born recruiter, if recruiting isn't something that you love to do, is something that you're great at, I think it's obvious that, the NFL is better. Where, Jim Harbaugh has a very interesting personality. A lot of people think that he's, pretty weird. But when you draft people, they're not in a position to really choose, anything. So, I mean, unless you John Elway and you can go play for the Yankees.
Or Eli.
Yeah, or Eli. Eli, and you have a famous dad that can, maneuver things out. But I think if you love recruiting, if you enjoy recruiting, if you're good at recruiting, college is more fulfilling and rewarding.
I'm going to tell you a story about Lou Holtz.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long, I can't remember if it's true or not. I think it was true, but I remember the story. And this is the story. Lou Holtz, he coached at South Carolina before he went to the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
He was at the Jets, and he was cutting a guy. A guy came into his office, the guy he was cutting, and said, "Coach, I got to feed my family. Don't cut me. You can't cut me." And I'm paraphrasing a lot of this story that I heard. And Lou Holtz said it right then and there, he knew the NFL was not for him. But as you say, for some people it's the NFL, for some other people it's college. Nick Saban probably would have stayed in the NFL had he been able to get
Drew Brees and not Dante Culpepper?
Drew Brees to pass the physical at Miami. It's interesting that he passed it at New Orleans but didn't pass it at Miami.
And had he done that, we never would have had the dynasty at Alabama where he won 6 championships in 12 years.
Understood. JJ, what qualifies Sherrone Moore to be coach of Michigan?
All right. Well, he took over as the play caller and offensive coordinator for Michigan. He was co-offensive coordinator with Josh Gaddis until 2 years ago. And since then, they had one of the best offenses in the Big Ten. Also, for 4 games this year, Jim Harbaugh was suspended for 6 games, and for 4 of those games, Sherrone Moore was the acting head coach. He went undefeated in those 4 games. He beat Penn State, he beat Ohio State, he beat Iowa.
Yeah, it's a pretty big names.
And he beat Maryland. Yeah.
Pretty big names.
Some pretty big names, yeah.
Okay. Transfer portal, JJ. You say Michigan could likely end up 4. What would you have ahead of Michigan?
I think, after speaking of the transfer portal, I think you can't help but have Ohio State number 1 going into next year in the Big Ten. They got the number 1 quarterback in the class, and Julian Sand, the transfer. He enrolled early at Alabama, so he did that for not a whole lot. But they got him to transfer. They got his teammate, the starting center for Alabama. I'm not sure if he's going to play center or guard. He had a little snapping issues, so they might put him at guard. But they got him to come. They got Quinshon Judkins out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, Mississippi.
And Travion Henderson had decided to stay.
Come back to him and the guy from Mississippi can run tandem.
Yeah, they will probably have the best backcourt in the country after Michigan had the best backcourt in the country with Corum and Edwards this past season. Ohio State probably will this year.
You're leaving off one other guy.
One other guy, yeah, they got a safety from Alabama, Caleb Downs.
Yes, sir.
Got him to transfer.
Yes, sir. Big guy. Big dude. Big.
Yeah.
Big talent.
Big talent, yeah,
Big talent.
absolutely.
Not physically big, but talently big talent.
Yeah, Georgia actually thought they were going to get him.
Yes, they did.
They thought they were going to get him out of high school, but he decided to not go to Georgia after Georgia elected not to recruit his brother, who had to, go to North Carolina before having a breakout rookie year this year as a wide receiver for the Colts. So now his family, Indianapolis to Columbus is not a far drive whatsoever. So
No, it's not.
The Downs family will be able to see their their NFL wide receiver and their Big Ten safety at the same time. So it's pretty good for them.
So how important is it for Ohio State that they beat Michigan next year?
When's the last time an Ohio State coach lost 4 games in a row to Michigan?
Has it ever happened?
Oh, of course it's happened. I can't remember when it was last. I can't remember. Honestly, if it wasn't John Cooper, I can't remember who
I forget about Cooper. I think he lost about 7 out of however many.
Yeah, I
6
think
out of 7 or something like that.
Yeah, so I think it was John Cooper.
Okay.
But you don't want your name to be next to John Cooper's if you're Ryan Day.
So it's very important for Michigan.
It's very important.
For Ohio State to beat Michigan.
Well, Quinshon Judkins announced his transfer to Ohio State 1 minute after Michigan won the national championship.
And he's a name you're going to hear a lot about. I think he's a great running back.
Yeah, he can pass protect. He can catch out of the backfield. He's a 5-tool player in that regard. But there was a lot of there was a news going around about Ohio State alumni, boosters for Ohio State alumni. As soon as Michigan made it to the national championship game, they really rallied the troops and they really
got the money.
They got the money. It was reported $13 million that the NIL is paying this year. I think that might be a bit of an exaggeration.
You mean Ohio State's NIL?
Ohio State's NIL will be paying. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it's still a substantial amount, and it's enough to get multiple guys to keep coming up. I mean, they had Travion Henderson, who's the day 2 pick at running back, and they got another first round, the second, third round talent coming in. So I don't think the NIL money is going to be able to keep first round picks necessarily, but you can keep a lot of second and third round picks if you're paying them.
So it sounds to me like Ohio State is doing what Nick Saban claimed Texas A&M is doing.
They are doing that. So the thing about Ohio State is they're paying the money. Alabama, they weren't paying the money. They were expecting discounts. Like, hey, come learn from Saban. Take the Saban discount. Well, now it's not Saban to learn from. So now the NIL collectives, they're going to have to organize quick, fast, and in a hurry to compete with the Georgias of the world, the Ohio States of the world, the Oregons
Nick
of the world.
Saban tried to get Alabama boosters to do that. Did he not?
I'm sure he did.
Uh-huh.
Well, now they won't have. Now they won't have any choice
So
if they want to win.
who are the competitors from a transfer portal perspective when we start talking dollars?
Well, yeah, Phil Knight, in Nike, also known as the University of Oregon.
Okay.
You have Ohio State.
The Ohio State.
The 3-time losers to Michigan in a row. You have Ohio State, and of course you have Georgia.
You missed two of the biggest ones. Actually, three of the bigger
Well,
ones.
obviously Texas A&M,
and Michigan.
No, Michigan's NIL collective is not on that same level. I don't believe
It doesn't. It has the potential to get there.
Oh, it absolutely has
That's
the potential.
where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Right now, Texas and Texas A&M, to me, they're equal with Ohio State.
Yeah, they have oil money.
Although they're not getting the athletes that Ohio State is getting, but they do have the funds. But it's just,
if SMU has the money to pay everyone on their roster $35,000 and to just not take any money from the ACC for 10 years or something like that. How long is it? If SMU has that type of money, imagine what Texas and Texas A&M have.
Yeah, they got the money. They got the money. But wow, JJ, anything else we want to talk about? Are we done with football now?
Just some news. Alabama in the transfer portal, they were able to get Ryan Williams to recommit to Alabama after he decommitted with Nick Saban's retirement, which makes sense. I mean, if you looked at Washington's receiving core, I wouldn't mind playing for Kalen DeBoer either if I was a receiver. Assuming the NIL money is right, I wouldn't mind either. In Washington football, I guess they're technically still in the Pac-12, but the next time that they play will be as a Big Ten member.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to get their quarterback Will Rogers to recommit to them after Jed Fish was hired as the head coach.
Their transfer portal quarterback who was going to go there, then he decommitted. He's actually hadn't been at Washington yet.
Yeah, he committed to Kalen DeBoer
right
at Washington,
and then he decommitted. Now he's recommitted. Man, there's so much going on with the transfer portal. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in April when it opens back up again for those 2-week time period. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. Alabama's going to be a huge player. Michigan, all the teams that, had turnover with their coaches or, were late to the party because of the college playoff, they're going to be very active. Washington, Michigan, Alabama, those schools.
Well, JJ, we kind of touched on one of the most important aspects today, the news area, and that's Mr. Coach Harbaugh going to LA to the Chargers. The next time we get together, we'll probably be able to say who the replacement coach is for Coach Harbaugh at U of M. But for now, JJ, what more you want to talk about? Can we wrap it up?
I think right now we'll wrap it up. Next week we'll probably be back at it with a basketball preview, talking about the teams on the bubble, the disappointing teams in Arkansas and Michigan.
When you talk basketball, JJ, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 months, I've really been hurting, and I can't do like Jamie Foxx. I can't blame it on the alcohol because I've been going dry this month. So I'm gonna blame my bad feelings on the Arkansas football team and the Arkansas basketball team, and we'll talk more about that next time around. Hey, maybe something happened to make me feel better.
Hey, baseball season's right around the corner.
Hey, all right.
I'm a Bengals fan. Football season is over for me. I mean, I guess go Lions is what I'll say.
All right, JJ. Let's get ready to get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Our work is done until next week.
Restore the roar.
WPS. Peace, love, and blessings. We out of here.